Good afternoon, lovely people. Well, it'll be afternoon by the time you see this. I'm just going to turn you around a bit. Oh, keep you balanced. Okay, so it's Sunday on the sofa, except I'm in the kitchen. I'm just going to get on with some potting on of my little peppers because... oh, cobweb. Oh, massive cobweb up there. Hold on a sec. I can't reach it. Flick it with something. I'm such a bad housewife. Not that I'm a wife. And not that this is a house. There we go. Cottages are allowed to have cobwebs, aren't they? Yeah, the other day, Friday? No. Thursday? They're all moulding into each other, aren't they? It was Thursday. I went to the garden and the idea was I was going to crack into doing my potato trenches. So all morning I'd been doing sort of shopping and dropping and all those little bits and bobs I've been doing around here. So by the time I got to the plot, it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And by the time, that's that bit of cobweb. By the time I'd done my walk down to the garden, I was feeling really quite hot. And, you know, it's not that the temperature is mega high. It's not at all. It was around about 22 degrees. But there wasn't a breath of air. It was really muggy. And I just thought, you know what? I'm not digging in this temperature. Now listen, you know me by now. I'm not a fair weather gardener. I'm not one of these people who normally says, oh, it's too cold to garden, it's too hot to garden, it's too wet to garden, it's too dry to garden. You hear people going, whatever. But I just thought, where my energy is a bit rubbish, I'm still juggling all that. If I was to start digging in that kind of temperature, I'd have done myself a mischief. So I thought, right, well, what else can I do that's, you know, constructive use of my time? So I decided to try to sort my shed. Oh my goodness. You know what it's like. Sort of at the end of last year, at the end of the growing season, generally speaking, all my pots and trays are washed and they're stacked. And because, okay, I know my shed is big compared to some people's, but it's still relatively small space to keep a lot of stuff, and I keep a lot of stuff in there. So the way my shelves are built, everything is built like within a gnat's chuff of how much space I need. So for instance, like I've got my pots here today, and this is a better example, in a propagator lid. All the pots get washed, stacked according to size, partly because it's kind of handy to know, you know, oh, that's a group of that size or whatever. But it's more about, if they're all stacked in the same size, you can stack more together and therefore fit more into a smaller space. So at the end of last year, of course, that all happened, everything got put away. But over the course of, I don't know, the last few weeks, well, since January really, there have been so many visits to the plot where it's ended up with the rain coming and me abandoning work for the day. And like I said, I don't mind doing a bit of gardening in the rain, depending on what it is, you know. But I think on those occasions it was raining and it was cold, and the stuff I needed to do was maybe quite slow stuff rather than really tough physical stuff. So anyway, yeah, rain stopped play on so many occasions, and I was literally just chucking stuff in the shed. So a combination of rain stopping play, me chucking stuff, plus over the last few weeks going and scrabbling around, pulling out a few pots here, a few trays there to bring home for my home seed starts. The last bits of last year's harvests in there, trays out with my potatoes chitting, trays out with my onions spread out waiting for me to prepare the ground. Anyway, the bottom line is suddenly it was an absolute mess. Could not swing a cat in there. Not that I would ever swing a cat, but put it this way, the cats couldn't even jump on the counter anymore. So yeah, it was a really hot day, and the shed at this time of year, by about 2:30 or so, the sun is moving behind, or at least sort of to the side back corner of my shed, so that the front of the shed is in shade, and it's really pleasant. So it's warm, but that bit of shade to not be in the baking sun. Anyway, I ended up just like stuff everywhere, absolutely everywhere. I even sorted out behind and at the side of the shed. I felt so guilty because the girls, I'm just going to get myself a glass of water. The girls next door, if I run that, are you going to need a pee? The girls next door, where their shed is next door to my shed, and there's a space between the two. And I just felt awful because it was, there was just so much stuff at the side of my shed. Things had fallen over in some of the storms we'd had. I'd pick things up again, they'd fallen over again. I got to the stage, I was like, oh, leave them. What's funny is, having had this big tidy up, I saw the girls yesterday and I said, look, I'm sorry it took me so long to organise that section down the side of our sheds. I'm really sorry that my stuff was everywhere. I've had a good tidy up. They'd been on site all day yesterday. I'd only popped down in the very late afternoon. So I did my apology and they were like, what? Didn't even notice. It's like, what? Go and notice now. Anyway, the reason I'm saying all this is because I found a tiny bit of compost in the shed. That's a 5 litre sack and then a little bit here. So I thought, oh, brilliant. So I'm potting on, I'm potting on my peppers this morning. I kind of looked at like peppers, tomatoes, because they all need potting on. But the peppers have been in longer. I don't know. Anyway, I've plumped for the peppers, so I'm just going to pot as we chat a little bit now. So, like I said, it's Sunday on the sofa today, but rather than being on the sofa and doing some sewing or looking at books or whatever, we're in the kitchen, for now at least. Oh yeah, so with my compost, I can't remember which, I think it's 2 videos ago now, I was mentioning that I've got no compost. Firstly, thank you everyone for your ideas about where I might be able to source some, who's still delivering, that sort of thing. Yes, thank you very much for your ideas. The reason I was loath to do any of that is because the order that I put this order in, oh gosh, it's coming up for 4 weeks ago. It was before lockdown I put my order in. So I was loath to do an order with someone else because firstly, I mean I did have a look, but there seemed to be still really quite long delivery times on things. But the main thing was I'd already spent basically my entire garden budget for the year already on this compost order. So I should just say in terms of my, oh, it's lovely to see them getting into their bigger pots. Yeah, in terms of my budget for the year for the garden, I give myself a £100 allowance. Woo! Now, it's a lot of money, but if you think about it as being £2 per week, I put £2 per week away in my little savings account. And then what that means is come March, actually, to be honest, from January, it just means that I've got that little lump sum ready. And that's, I know every year I've got that amount of money specifically for the garden. That's for sort of seeds, compost, poles, whatever it is, nets. Now, of course, each year my seed cost goes down because I save more and more seeds. And actually, oh, I nearly said a naughty word then. Bother! Oh well, sweep the floor later. I'm trying to get a little support stick in. Yes, the more seed I'm able to save for myself, the better. But also in saving seed, I'm saving enough now that sometimes I'm able to do swapsies. So actually that's a really good point as you go through the year. If you're growing something your neighbour isn't and they're growing something you're not, chat to them as the season progresses to say, would you mind saving some of those seeds for me? I'll save some of these for you, and then we can do a swap, and then basically you're doubling. For instance, if my neighbour's growing tomatoes and I'm not, I can't imagine a world where that would happen, but let's pretend. They're growing tomatoes, I'm not. I'm growing peppers, they're not. I save my pepper seeds, I've got one type of seeds. They give me some of their tomato seeds, I've now got pepper and tomato seeds. Likewise, they've got their saved tomato seeds and now my saved pepper seeds. Great. Yes, so this budget I work to of £100 each year, I would say these days that my two big expenses in terms of seeds are the seed potatoes and my onion sets, and that's probably about, I think it's £15 for those two things. Obviously organic's a bit more expensive, but there we go. So about £15 there, and then for the rest of my seeds, not much more than a tenner, which is great because I've mentioned this before a few times. The organic seeds, I've just left a water ring on there. Organic seeds are, they're not cheap, £2-3 a packet. So yeah, save as much of your own seeds as you can. So yes, back to this compost thing. I'm going all around the houses. Oh yeah, and with the budget, that doesn't include my rent. My rent is £40 a year. I get a slightly reduced rent because I'm on a low income. So I'm on a no income at the moment. God, it's scary actually. Yes, the £100 is specifically for seeds, compost, in previous years, bean poles, nets, that sort of thing. But mostly in the sort of the nets and poles department, they are things that one can buy, and if you look after them, they last years and years and years. So hopefully you can get away with, not having that expense every year. So I decided this year, yes, go for it. Let's get a load of compost. £70. Oh my goodness, that's so much money on compost, but hopefully it's worth it. I found last year that starting off carrots, parsnips, things like that, in a drill, in the past I've made a drill in my soil and sown them into that. Last year I made a drill and then put a little bit of compost in it as well, and it really helped them just in that initial phase of getting going. So yeah, I've done this big order weeks and weeks and weeks ago. I rang on Wednesday morning, I think it was Wednesday morning. No answer. Well, there was an answering machine and it said, during this time our customer services phones will not be manned. It's like, no. I understand it. I know, a lot of people are staying home because of a family member. There are workforces. I just breathed in some compost. There are workforces up and down the land, which I'm just getting some sticks. Oh, gardening in the kitchen. It's going to be messy. Yeah, I know there's workforces up and down the land which are being drastically reduced. So I get it. I understand that they've got no customer service phone. So I emailed them. To be honest, I didn't really expect a reply. Well, not very promptly, but I did. I got quite a prompt reply. So this was Wednesday about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it said, your items will be dispatched within the next 48 hours. So I thought, great. Wednesday, so that means Thursday, that's Thursday, Friday, that takes me through to Friday afternoon. I completely forgot it was Easter. Who knew? No idea it was Easter. What was I doing? I did something yesterday. Good Friday, I'm filming this on Saturday for Sunday. It's taking so long to upload videos at the moment. I'm trying to sort of get ahead of myself. But yeah, I saw someone on Friday and they mentioned something about Easter eggs. And I was like, oh, weeks away. No, it's this weekend. Who knew? Anyway, so I don't know if Good Friday doesn't count as a dispatch day. The long and the short of it is a long story about compost. We're just hanging out. We're just hanging together. Have you got a cup of tea on the go? We've got something stronger on the go. Well, it is the afternoon, isn't it? 12 o'clock, boom, that's it. Get the drinks on the go. Yeah, the long and the short is no compost. No compost delivery yet. It's a real dilemma, isn't it? Because, oh God, I'm a stubborn old cow. I'm a stubborn old mare. Sorry if that offended anyone. When I was growing up as a kid, that was considered swearing. Yeah, it's a dilemma because that order will arrive at some point. And presumably if they then decide they can't get, what I don't want is in another couple of days for them to say, sorry, we can't get it to you, here's your money back, because then I'll have wasted all this time. I don't think that's what's going to happen. But it's a dilemma of how, it's like a game of dare, isn't it? I'm desperate to get some stuff started down at the garden, brassicas, that sort of thing. I'm desperate to get on with things here, like getting these tomatoes potted on. I really, really, really would like to get on with that. This is my food for the year. So, here's the dilemma bit. Is it worth me borrowing a few quid, say from my sister or someone, and putting another order in with another company, and getting some compost pronto? I guess even if I did that, because it's the Easter bank holiday weekend, even if I did that from another company, I wouldn't get any compost till next weekend. I don't know what to do. There's no quick, easy way around this. I was thinking that because today is Saturday, it's a beautiful day. I really, really should be in the garden doing things, but I decided, no, I'm going to stay home just in case the delivery comes today, because I was thinking, well, today, it's not a bank holiday, maybe it will come today. I think what I'm going to have to do is hold my nerve. It's ridiculous. Hold my nerve until Tuesday. If it hasn't come Tuesday, I'm just going to borrow some money from someone and get an order from another company, even if I end up having to spend, say, extra for, some companies offer like an expedited delivery. So they'll have a standard delivery which is free, for example, and that's 5 to 7 working days, or an expedited delivery, but you pay £10 for it. I do think it will be worth that if I still don't have any on Tuesday, because, like I say, let's face it, it's a year's worth of food I'm growing. And hopefully, hopefully most of you will have seen, I did a video in, I think it was probably about November, when I showed you my drawers. I showed you my freezer drawers and the bits and bobs I had of food stored. I mean, it was just phenomenal to look at it all together. It's a huge amount of food I'm producing. Like I say, I'm producing enough food for a person to live on for a year. It's fantastic. Who would have thought that was possible on 100 square metres? I mean, yeah, I do buy other stuff. Of course I do. Rice and what have you. Anyway, yes, so I'm just chatting and chewing the fat with you and musing on it all, but yeah, as of today, compost gate continues. It's a little bit of a weird world, isn't it, at the moment? And we're all just like, oh, I nearly did it again. And we're all just having to go with the flow to an extent. Oh, you see, that's a happy sight, isn't it? Bit more space, bit more room. I would normally, at this stage, I'd have gone for, let me show you. So at the moment, I've got 2 per little pot like that. Then they're going from that as 2 to that as 1. So it's a good jump up. But normally I would like to have gone for more like that. However, with this lack of compost, I'm focusing more at the moment just on getting these sort of twins. I mean, look, they're shooting up, aren't they? Getting these twins separated and into their own little pots. I might even, oh no, this is just the orange bell. Then I've got all my Douillon de Lande, my little French ones. And then I've got all my Ozen, my paprikas. I think basically that will use up the compost I've got. But if there's a tiny bit of compost left, I will make a start on the tomatoes. So, yes. Oh, compost in water, never mind. It definitely, what I've been feeling in the last few days is that I'm living these kind of, I'm living 2 lives, these two parallel worlds. There's one world where I'm in the garden and it's like, it's totally normal, apart from the fact that I don't hug my neighbours to greet them anymore, which is a shame. I'm so missing, I mentioned it the other day, I am missing touch so much. I just want someone to touch me. Aww. I try to do it to myself. It's that thing of if I sit on my hand for half an hour so that my hand goes dead, and then stroke myself, trying to pretend it's someone else's hand, it doesn't work, and it also sounds a bit weird and freaky, doesn't it? Yes, but the point is that generally in the garden, life feels normal, you know? It's that time of year, everyone's coming back from not being around over the winter, everyone's getting stuck in. The only real difference is that every day feels like a weekend day there at the moment because people are around much more in the week. But to all intents and purposes, when I'm in the allotment, when I'm on site, it's normal. It's just normal life. It's no different to any other year. It's great. I love it. It's quiet. It's quieter. And then I leave the plot and I come home and it's like I'm stepping through a door into a whole nother world. And it's a world that, you know, it's like, it's hard to recognise. Obviously, I'm used to being at home on my own and I'm used to working from home. Again, that's normal for me. There's no big change there. But just in terms of, you know, everything I see on social media, it's obvious something's a bit amiss at the moment in terms of going shopping. I don't really do much shopping for myself. I never have done much shopping for myself. I don't need to because I grow all my own food if I get enough compost. I'm going to get some more, I think. I'm going to do another order somewhere. In fact, I'm going to do that today. I think I'm going to look it up. I don't want to risk waiting another 2 weeks. Yeah, so life at home is pretty normal. The only thing that's not normal is when I go out and I'm doing this shopping for folk, and then it becomes obvious that this world is weird. And I don't know about you, but the minute I step outside I suddenly feel dirty. I feel so dirty. Like I don't want to touch anything, I don't want to go anywhere near anyone. My slight paranoia is probably good for me. It's keeping me away from people. So yeah, it's just a really, really peculiar time, isn't it? But we'll crack on and make the most of it. I think the other thing is my routine has gone a bit out of the window. So for example, I haven't been doing much, I haven't done any sewing for weeks now. I was really busy sort of at the end of February and beginning of March. I was really busy with my great aunt. And you know, she's always my priority. So I lost a load of sewing time there. And then obviously a lot of March has been about adjusting and getting other things sorted and in place. And you know, doing a lot of volunteering, which is great. But I'm just now trying to get a little bit of a routine, a little bit of a schedule going, so that I'm not. So for instance, for the last 3 weeks or so, I feel like I've just been responsive. I'm just responding all the time and catching up. Whereas I'd like now, in the next few weeks, to be more, things are more sort of planned, scheduled. I make the time to do things, well, sewing, essentially. Because I've got a lot of lovely fabric and a lot of lovely ideas. So yeah, crack into that. Now, the other thing that's going on at the moment, excuse me, oh, snapping up, that was a stick, that's not my knee, actually my knees, I'll refer to that now. Yes, about 2 weeks or so ago, was it? Labels, I need labels. Oh, I've got one there, that'll do for now. Yeah, so a couple of weeks ago, I did mention that I'd had the email from the NMC requesting people to go back to work. And if you remember at the time, just really struggled with that decision, but decided because of my own health, my knees, my immune deficiency, etc., that I had to say no. However, you know what's coming, don't you? I'm going to get really emotional now. The making that decision, it didn't sit well with me. It didn't feel right. I mean, it felt right in so much as, you know, I could justify it, but as the days have gone on, and whether it's something I see on the news or something a friend who is working tells me, I just thought I can't not offer. So, a lot of my friends in paediatrics, it's not affecting them quite so much, or say my friends at Gosh, although having said that, one of the things I found really alarming in terms of numbers was to hear how many for the staff that were tested at Gosh, to hear the numbers, I need scissors, to hear the numbers of those who tested positive, it was something like 40% of those that they tested positive. And the number of staff off work at that point, it was so high. And the bottom line was, I was remembering what it was like to be at work and one person calls in sick, just one person. It's awful because, most off duties, most scheduling, the staffing scheduling, it's at a bare minimum anyway. You can have a full complement of nurses on the ward that day and still feel short-staffed. And it's stressful, it's really, really stressful. It was one of the reasons, apart from my knees, that I left, was because I just couldn't stand it anymore. I could not stand going into work and dreading to find out what my workload would be for that day and thinking, how am I going to manage this workload without crippling myself? So anyway, look, I know what it's like to be busy, to be stressed. I know what it's like to feel short-staffed with just one person off. And anyway, when I heard about that, I thought, that's it. What the heck is that? It's barely composted. I'll save it though, it might be good for something. I thought I can't not offer to go back. So I replied to the email to say, yes, I'm interested in re-registering. What they're doing is they've got a sort of a temporary COVID register. So all nurses and midwives in the UK, when you qualify, when you get your little badge of honour from your uni, whatever, you get registered with the NMC, and that registration is to say there are different parts of the register. There are paediatrics, mental health, learning disabilities, adult nursing, midwifery. That register then, when you apply for a job, they check you on the register to make sure you actually are a nurse and you are qualified, and you pay to be on that register. I know you have to pay to be a nurse in this country, you pay so much. So for the COVID register, there's no fee. Anyway, so yes, I emailed them, and it took a few days. I'm trying to remember the timescale of this, it doesn't matter. It took a few days, but I got an email back to say thank you for showing an interest in coming back. And the email came with a load of attachments of forms for me to print off, so things like DBS checks, that's our kind of criminal record check, occupational health in terms of my own health status and my vaccination status, all those kind of things. There were more forms, I can't even remember what they are now. And then I had the phone call bit where they asked me what was I prepared to do in terms of how many hours, what type of setting, etc, etc. And then the video chat bit came, so we had our video chat, and that was all, I think that was on Tuesday. It's weird because it feels like things are moving fast, but on the other hand, a day feels like a week at the moment, doesn't it? So, so on Thursday I got another email to say, that's it, you're on the register and your details have now been passed on to, I was going to say my local healthcare trust, but it's changed since even in 3 years, it's now something called an STP. I had to look that up. So my details have been passed on. I've just received another email with a load of online training and updates to do, so I think I'm going to probably have to take a day off in the next couple of days or so to get all my online training and updates done. So, yes, I'm probably talking about this in a very casual, offhand manner. The bottom line is, I doubt very much that I'll be sent to any type of clinical setting, i.e. a ward. because in my phone interview, I said there's no way I can do a 12-hour shift. No way. I think, to be honest, I think I will struggle to do even a 6-hour shift on my feet. I know what it's like if I'm in the garden. If I do anything remotely physical, in other words, if I'm up and on my feet for half an hour, I then need to sit down for 15 minutes and rub my knees because they hurt so much. And if I do that over sort of 3 or 4 hours on the allotment, I know when I walk home, which is only like a sort of 8 or 9 minute walk, it'll take me 15 minutes because I'll walk just even a few meters and I have to stop, sit on someone's front wall because the pain is too much. So, like I say, I doubt very, very much that I will end up in a clinical setting, which, I'll be honest with you, that does my head in and it breaks my heart because that's what I want to do. I want to be in that. I want to get stuck in. I said to them, look, I'll work in Nightingale. I don't mind working in the worst place. The bottom line is I've got no dependents. I mean, I don't want to get ill. Of course I don't. But I've got no dependents. I'd rather, if someone's going to get ill, it's me than another nurse who's the mum of 3 kids, like we saw last week, died. So I want to work there, but try not to swear, my body is letting me down. I hate it. It's so frustrating. Anyway. It does my head in. But look, the main thing is, if I was thinking about this, I could maybe do triage, sitting down, mostly. Obviously one needs to stand up to do things like, say, put a blood pressure cuff on, put, oxygen sats on or whatever. But in terms of, compared with actually being on the ward, running around all day, backwards and forwards to the drugs room to make up drugs. Oh, any of you who are a nurse will know what I mean. There's a big difference between actually having a patient on the ward and doing triage. So I could very usefully do that, and I hope that that's the sort of thing I can get to do. Who knows? We'll see. So it's it's such a weird time because it's a weird time, full stop, but also I feel like at the moment I'm waiting for compost. I'm waiting for the weather to cool down a bit so I can go digging. I'm waiting, more importantly than anything, I'm waiting to hear about where I may be deployed and, how many hours, how many days I end up doing. At the moment, I've got no idea. Of course, as soon as I hear anything, I'll let you know how we're doing for time. I think I need to have a wait, actually. Hold that thought. That's better. I'm going to rattle up. I'm rattling on. I need to wrap up because I've just clocked the time and how long I've been yakking. But it's just so nice to hang out with you, to feel like you're here in my kitchen with me. So yes, don't know what's happening with the nursing. I will keep you posted, of course I will. And I just want to say a very, very quick word, because this is something else I've been thinking about that whole when I get redeployed. Is please, obviously, we want everyone to stay at home and stay out of trouble. However, if you are young, gorgeous like me, I'm talking here to the under 60s. If you are young, You are free of any underlying health conditions. You don't even have to be fit. I mean, look at the state of me. But please, please, please consider volunteering in your neighbourhood. Please. There are so many people sitting at home, twiddling their thumbs, doing nothing, who could be contributing at the moment. You know, whether it's getting hooked up, so you have to do this through a sort of a local neighbourhood scheme, but getting hooked up to individuals who are housebound, to even make a phone call once a day just for a quick chat, see how they are, let them hear another human voice. Shopping drop-offs, food banks are really struggling for help at the moment. So if you can do anything like that, doing it safely, of course, then please, please, please do. You know, as I can't remember who was saying it, I saw it again on telly the other day, but we're only as strong as the weakest link, so let's not let our weaknesses be our downfall. Please help if you can. You know, I was chatting with my mum the other day, so she was hundreds and hundreds of miles away up in Lancashire. I hate that I'm not there to help her. She's going to be 80 this year, which is bonkers, and any of you who've seen the videos from the last 2 summers when I've been visiting with her will be like, she's 80? Are you kidding? She's kind of like, she carries on like she's 60. Good on her. But yeah, it's so hard to have an older relative so far away, and even, you know, teapot to a degree. But she's got volunteers doing her shopping for her and dropping it off. She's got volunteers collecting parcels, whatever, and taking them to the post office for her. So thank you, whoever you are in Lancashire right now that's volunteering and helping. I'm going to get weepy again, helping my mum. And what I hope is that whoever's the mums I'm looking after, the grannies I'm looking after down here, I hope by some weird wacky coincidence that you're also a viewer, so that you know that I'm making sure your mum, your nan, is getting her weekly shopping and is getting her medicines, and she's okay. They're okay. I've got 5 on my books now. It's great. So, and one of the reasons I'm saying this is because if I do end up going back to work, don't know where, don't know when, but that's going to impact on how much volunteering I can do in the neighbourhood. And obviously I'll coordinate with people. I'm not just going to abandon those people. Of course not. So I'll coordinate with other volunteers to make sure my people are my people. Come to think of them as my people, that they're still looked after. Right then. Oh, let me know, by the way, what you were doing whilst you were watching the video. Were you knitting? Were you crocheting? Were you writing your magnus opus? Were you... Oh, maybe you're like Richard. Maybe you've been composing music. I hope you're finding things to occupy your time that are, you know, enjoyable, fulfilling, all that kind of stuff. And like I say, if you are a really loose end and you're healthy and relatively fit, please consider volunteering and helping someone somewhere. Someone like my mum. Anyway, right. I'm nearly at the end of my bag of compost. Oh my goodness, fingers crossed. You know, I said about 10 minutes ago I'm going to order some more today. Can't decide. I'll have a think on it. But I've got enough here to finish my Dulong de Lond. I don't have enough, I don't think, for the Fahet Ozen, so they'll have to wait. But the Orange Bell and the Dulong they're more precious to me, so that's why I've started with them first. And isn't it great? Isn't it great to see the garden growing? Oh, I love it, I love it, love it. So that's enough from me. I really need to shut up. I will see you all again really soon. I think the next time we'll be in the garden. The beginning of this week, it looks like it's going to have cooled down quite considerably. I mean, the weather's gorgeous, but it's not conducive to bed preparation and trench digging. But hopefully, the next time you see me, that's exactly what I'll be doing on a slightly cooler day. So, until I see you then, please take care of yourselves. Give yourselves a lot of love. Give each other love. Reach out. Give some random stranger some love too. Just give the love. And please, please, please stay well. Bye for now.